Hello and welcome to the Permaculture Herbalism segment of the Elder Tree podcast. I am your host, Tennille Christensen from Earth Mama, where I teach people how to thrive and get skilled for sustainability. As an educator, kitchen witch, and plant lover, I welcome you to tune in as I interview permaculturalists from around the world. We will learn holistic ways of integrating plants into our homes, gardens, and communities for healing. Together, we will explore the art and science of this regenerative design system and harvest the collective wisdom. Permaculture offers a pathway to empower people to develop their lifestyles and landscapes. So let's discover how to grow and know plants with a purpose.
It can't move. It's there all day feeling the sun on its leaves, right? And sometimes it's hot and sometimes it's windy and it feels the wind, but the wind is coming from different places and it's carrying, messages, both energetic but also physical messages like pollen and chemical signals and stuff. And that plant is feeling the rain on its leaves and it's under the sky and the stars and all the constellations and the moon, and it goes through all the seasons. It's filled with all of these different energetic elements. Those actually make up the cells of its body. And it has conversations. A plant has conversations all day, every day with all the animals that are in the soil and all the birds and bees that come to pollinate it.
Cerise Acacia is a passionate food forester and educator, teaching people how to set up and develop their own food forests from the solar farm. It was a very delightful conversation. This is a jam-packed interview, so my intro is short because I just want you to soak up all of the juicy conversation we had.
Firstly, thank you for having me. It's such an honor to be here. Permaculture is an important aspect of my life because I think permaculture can save the world. That's my actual response to that question. I know it might seem a bit simple, but I really do. And I just love the earth and I want to be a part of the solution. That was my original reasons for kind of what attracted me to permaculture when I was young. I was really as a teenager, I went through this kind of 2 years of being extremely rebellious and, quite lost actually, and feeling heaps of just grief and anger and hopelessness about the world and thinking that the world was, so messed up and all that sort of stuff. And I was actually really lucky. I was 17 when I discovered permaculture, and it was just like this light bulb moment for me where I was like, oh my gosh, look at that. That's what I've dreamed of, for the world, and people are doing it, and there's real tangible solutions, and, people are already putting in place, and I can learn these methods and techniques, and they're tried and tested and true, and be part of the solution. And so that just totally flipped my world upside down, and the world became sparkly and full of rainbows after that. And yeah, it's been almost a decade, more than a decade now. I'm 28 now, and permaculture as a lifestyle is just the happy life. It's a quality of life thing too. It's so enjoyable, and everything that permaculture touches seems to be infused with this kind of sparkly magic. I don't know if you feel that, Tennille, but
for sure. Yeah.
Everything, from making jam to mixing mud for cob to letting the chickens out in the morning, it just feels so good and fills your soul. On a personal day-to-day level, it just makes me happy. And then on a bigger picture level, I want the earth to be healthy and thriving, and I want people to be healthy and thriving, and I want a beautiful world for my children to grow up in. And I really think permaculture has the answers. Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely a lifestyle and a way that you live, but it's got that bigger kind of promise. Like there's the solutions, and like you said, it was the first thing that I came across too that had these like real life, tangible, like this is working, and all the people that I met who were doing it were like positive people, and
Yeah.
like getting stuff done, and this sense of community. And it's so amazing that at 17 you found it.
Yeah.
I was 26, I'm now 40, and it's like once you find it, like once I really got, okay, this is it, this is my path. And just, the way that life can flip and turn around. And I think if we can find teenagers in that place, because I think it's part of that initiation of going into the valley of despair, like when you have that awakening and realization of how crap the food system is and the destruction that's happening, and you can get really depressed and lost and just like, what's the point, and for me it's, to find this like real world solutions based way of thinking and participating in, a reciprocal relationship with the earth and all of the abundance that comes from that. It's like my duty to pass that on to the children now, and to find, if there's young teenagers that are, it would be a huge thing to be a teenager. Like I've got a teenager, but she's grown up with us in this lifestyle. But on the broader perspective, there's so much like suicide rates, there's so much pressure, there's so much depression in that age group. And as you said before in a previous conversation, I think we've got to weave that in as well, of like the next 7 generations, and having teenagers come out to property, to land, and learn how to plant a tree for the first time, and just kind of forest bathe or be in community and experience, even if you're not like doing environmental work, but you're just like being in nature and having that nature healing of like the self-regulation on your body and things like that. You don't have to even do anything, but to have a place where you can come and be and have a relationship with the earth is healing anyway. But that's a bit of a I went sideways there. I'd love for you to share with everybody, about your place and what you're doing there, because I found you talking about the solar farm and perennial plants on Instagram, and I'm like, this woman's awesome. I love what she's doing. We're gonna have a conversation.
Thank you. It's funny, actually. I was thinking about how I got in touch with you. It was actually, I one day was just like, oh, I want to do a bit of self-care. I'll go buy myself a copy of the Pip magazine, which I haven't bought myself in years, but it's a great magazine. And I was reading through it and I saw your ad and I was like, oh, I think it was an ad for like a kids permaculture. You do
our Nature Kids program. Yeah,
it looks so good. And I was like, wow, that looks amazing. And I jumped on your website and you had all this information about food forests and tropical perennials. And I was like, oh yes, this woman, yeah, she's my person. And tribe. Yeah. And so our place, so we are in the Northern Rivers of New South Wales. So we're in the subtropics here. And we are really, really lucky. We live on my partner's family property. So we have 100 acres here that we take care of. And they've been here since he was a child, and his family's done so much restoration work and a lot of just letting the bush come back, a lot of tree planting, a lot of regen. And then I arrived on the property and we started growing food in all the clearings that we possibly could. It's mostly forested and very wild, and we have a lot of wildlife, which is incredible. So yeah, we really have to work with the forest here to be able to grow our food, and it's been an incredible gift to us, actually. So that's our property that we live on. And then across the valley, like I'm sitting in my at my kitchen table and I'm looking across the valley at our other property that we consider ourselves custodians of, which is 200 acres. And that property is all cleared. We, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, we heard from the property owner, because it's a very small town, so everyone knows everyone, and you know all the old farmers and stuff. And we have a mountain here called Mount Nardi, and this property was owned by the Nardi family, and they were one of the first Italian settler families to come and settle here. And they came and they got a large section of the valley, and they ring-barked every tree. And this was the last of the Nardi family member, the last Nardi family member farming the land here in Nimbin, and he was 85 and he was selling his property, or we heard that he was going to put it on the market, and we heard before he put it on the market. And we just said to ourselves, how cool would it be if, how you see those properties and you say to your partner, how cool would it be if, we could buy that property and just reforest it and cover it in trees again, and restore it to its former glory. And we mentioned it to a friend who is part of Doctors for the Environment, which is this amazing organization that does incredible work. And these friends are very cool. They're doctors and surgeons and stuff from Newcastle. And yeah, within a week, they had called all their friends and they'd got the money together, and we formed a company, and together we all bought shares of the company, and we bought the property with enough money left over to start planting trees. And so we have been planting trees on there ever since, and everyone comes up on long weekends to plant trees together with their kids and their grandkids and just be a part of nature, because a lot of the shareholders live in the city and have, a bit of a city hustle lifestyle. And yeah, it's just been a beautiful experience for everyone involved. It's been really special. Yeah.
Yay. Yeah, that's such a wonderful story of, or I guess a template that other people could follow if you're finding this marginal land. And, and you said that the company is called for this next 7 generations or 7 generations.
Yeah, so we called our company 7 Generations because the intention is really to take care of this land for the 7th generation, and to take care of the world for the 7th generation, which probably many of your listeners know is comes from the Native American culture. This idea of every decision that we make we have to consider how it's going to impact the 7th generation. So that's definitely a way that we live our life, is thinking about how it impacts the 7th generation, and just trying to be good ancestors, and you think of it as so far away, but then just within a few years, you can see the impacts already are so big. You see, I was telling you, we have the shareholders bring their kids, and a lot of them are teenagers, and the teenagers bring their friends or their partners, and these amazing young people coming, and sometimes it's the first time they've planted a tree or been in the bush or swum naked in a waterhole, or whatever it is, been around a campfire, and you can just see the impact that it has on their lives. And even some of the young boys have been so influenced that they are now studying environmental science at uni, or becoming bush regenerators themselves, and it's just incredible to see. Yeah.
I just got goosebumps all over me. It makes me so happy to hear stories like this.
And it's just so cool to see that it's a happy place for so many people. Like hundreds of people come up here, and it's their happy place. Yeah.
And it's shifting away from that kind of ownership model, because like in the line of work that we do, Blake and I, with permaculture and design, we meet so many landholders who have these big parcels of land and are so overworked and wanting community, but they they are the owners of the land, and it's like this very hard way for them to have other people come on, because it's like inequality in a way where there's a lot of people who want to come on and experience living on land and having that lifestyle, but there's also been these experiences where that's also been pulled out from underneath their feet as well, and they've put time and energy into people's properties. So having these different kind of structures and ways that, you know, the intention is this is a long-term goal. And the intention is regeneration and community. It's a way to facilitate all of that through a shared company, or, you know, something that you're doing in that sense.
Yeah, and I think, to be fair, one of the biggest reasons that it's been successful so far is nobody is like living there. We do have, you know, some people renting the house, but you know, there's no one landowner, or there's none of that like day-to-day you know, this is my bit, this is your bit kind of that comes in on, like, we have a lot of MOs and intentional communities and stuff around here, and I think that can be really challenging for people to navigate. People definitely do it beautifully as well. I've seen it done so well, but yeah, for this purpose, to just restore this land and have a space for people to come and connect with nature, it just is working really well to keep it simple, you know.
Yeah, love it. So apart from all of the, you know, bush regeneration that you're doing, how do you integrate plants specifically from a herbalism perspective into either your home or your garden or within your community?
Well, here on our property, I grow as much food as I can for our family, and often that has an overflow, that we have so much food, we share it with community. And we have a 1 acre food forest in a clearing of the forest here, where we grow a lot of perennial foods. We have 2 kids and we homeschool. We run like 3 businesses between us, my partner and I, and we have that other property across the valley. So we've got a lot of projects going on. So we don't have actually that much time to grow food, but it's something that's really important to us, is to eat really good food from the land, and to have a positive impact on the planet as well. So, you know, I come from a background of farming, and I've worked on many different farms, conventional and organic. And I think when you work on commercial farms, it almost like you can't unsee the things that you see that happen in food production. And you become vividly aware every time that you go into a supermarket or a store and you take something off the shelf. Like, I get these flashbacks of what has actually happened to country and to land to make that product appear on that shelf. And so it's really important for me to be consuming food that, when I harvest it from the ground, I'm just feeling so lit up and so happy about, and proud. I'm proud of myself and the way that I'm consuming food. Because when I'm harvesting it from the food forest, I'm watching all the birds that are nesting in the tree that I'm picking it from. And, you know, I can see that the soil is alive, and I'm looking at this forest that I've created that I'm eating out of. And it wasn't there 5 years ago. It was just a paddock. And now it's a home for animals, and it's, you know, storing carbon, and it's biodiverse, and it's doing all the things. And we're feeding ourselves really good food. And I'm not a herbalist, but for us, like, it's a huge, health is a huge part of why we grow food. And I think it goes a little bit beyond nutrition for me. Like, it's beyond, you know, oh, this is really high in like magnesium and that's good protein or whatever. But it actually, I just intuitively feel that food has so much of an energetic element to it. And it makes sense, really, when you think about it. Like, a plant is out there in the world, and it's just rooted in the ground, in the land where it is on. it can't move. It's there all day feeling the sun on its leaves, right? And sometimes it's hot and sometimes it's windy and it feels the wind, but the wind is coming from different places and it's carrying, you know, messages, both energetic but also physical messages like pollen and chemical signals and stuff. And that plant is feeling the rain on its leaves, and it's under the sky and the stars and all the constellations and the moon, and you know, it goes through all the seasons. It's filled with like all of these different energetic elements. Those actually make up the cells of its body. And it has conversations. A plant has conversations all day, every day, with all the animals that are in the soil and all the birds and bees that come to pollinate it. And, you know, it's in conversation with all these other entities all the time. And so its cells are made up of so much magic in so many different ways. And the experiences it has influence its cellular makeup as well. And then when we consume that, that becomes a part of us. And, you know, our cells are made from all those experiences that plant has lived as well. And so I really feel that when we are consuming food from our country that we're on, you know, we become part of country and we're in this living relationship with country. And so much kind of story comes into us. Like we are living the story of country in our bodies through the food and the water that we consume. And that's so special and such an honor and a privilege. Sorry, not a privilege. It's our birthright, actually. I think that's what humans are here to do. It's to actually carry story for country through the land. Like I kind of think of it as we are like the blood cells that kind of transport story, you know, the land, which is beautiful and so special. But then the flip side of that is what people don't see happens in agriculture, you know, is huge machines like going across fields, like battering plants just like screaming out in fields that are dry, being pumped full of chemicals that they don't want to consume, but they don't have a choice of consuming, you know, picked in ways that are disrespectful, a human never meeting with that plant. You know, it's just like there's so many layers to it. And like I would even go so far as to say that plant could potentially be almost traumatized, like it's having a traumatic experience of life. And then we don't even enter into like the, you know, packing and the fungicide baths and the shipping and the sitting on the shelves and, you know, and then that food comes to us and that's what we're consuming and that's what's becoming part of ourselves. And that is kind of terrifying.
Yeah. And we're told that it's all good because it's coming from the fresh food people.
Yeah, that's right. And, you know, I fully support like organic farms, but, you know, like commercial organic is still really like machine driven and still really kind of dehumanized. And there's just not that same level of connection. And actually even organic, if when it's on that large scale, can be quite degrading for land as well. So yeah, so that's what motivates me. Sorry.
No, but that's a great motivation. And yeah, and it's a good conversation to have because I don't know if people really look that deeply into the energetics of food and the story of their food. And I know a lot of people are becoming more aware. We're actually screening a movie called Common Ground, which is the second one from Kiss the Ground, which is, I guess there's no Australian films yet and it's based in America, but Australia likes to follow American ways in so many ways. But yeah, like you said, the food system, even like your area is probably similar, but the Atherton Tablelands where we are is a major food bowl. But unless you're buying food direct from the farmers, the majority of it is being sent down to at least Brisbane, Rockley, to the Brisbane brokers markets, and then repurchased and sent back up here.
That's right.
Yeah. So if you're buying from any traditional supermarket, your fruit is at least 8 days old, at least. because they also put things in cold storage for a really long time. They pick things before it's ripe, so it doesn't reach its complex sugars. They gas it to ripen it. And they screw the farmers over with price.
Yeah.
And it's just like it's a really sick system. So you have to really make an effort. Like I'm 100% like grow your own food and bioregionalism, as in like if you can't grow it because it's not your climate, but there's other people who have the right microclimate or land, like how do we coordinate and work together as a community to buy and to support other farmers with things that we're not necessarily growing ourselves, and just
and like I don't want to make anyone feel guilty about, you know, what they're purchasing and consuming, because realistically we're actually under so much like pressure from our just societal system. Not everyone can make it to a farmer's market, not everyone can, you know, meet up with a small farmer, or, you know, whatever. We're all just doing our best. But that is definitely what led me on, you know, spurs me on with discovering these new foods and this new way to grow food. And so we've got an acre of food forest, and we grow we try and grow as much food as we can, and it sort of fluctuates. It's usually always more than half of our food comes from our property, but it sort of fluctuates with where the kids are at, and, you know, like what else is going on in life. But we can only do that because we are really leaning on perennial foods. Like we wouldn't be able to grow our own food if we were leaning on at the annual vegetables that you would find, you know, in a store and a supermarket. And, you know, it's kind of weird to me, like now that I can see the scale of agriculture and our diet in the West, it's so strange to me that what we consume is pretty much all annual vegetables, and annual vegetables are so hard to grow. Like that every other gardener knows that annual vegetables are crazy hard to grow. And I think if you've never grown perennial vegetables and fruit trees, you don't realize what a contrast it is to grow perennials. Like most of the stuff that we grow, you know, yesterday I just planted a year's worth of taro and spinach in like an hour. And I just stuck, you know, I did a 25-meter line. I just stuck it in the ground, and I'm not going to come back until I'm harvesting it. And that's it. That's all, you know, that happens. And all the propagation material we have is free. We're not going to buy seed or seedlings or anything. So you can just grow your systems exponentially. And when you're growing things like cassava or bananas, you know, you just stick a stick in the ground and it grows, and it doesn't need any fertilizer or anything special. And so when all it takes is just sticking a stick in the ground, you can grow 100, like you can grow 200. It doesn't matter. You're going to grow however many you can eat, you know? And so it just becomes really possible to truly grow your own food, you know? We make our own flour, we make our own bread, we, you know, bake out of taro flour and cassava flour, and like we just put full meals on our plates, not just like side salads and cucumbers, but like all of our starches and carbohydrates and proteins, and, you know, the full spectrum comes from the farm. And it's surprisingly easy to do it. Like if I can do it with homeschooling 2 kids, like we can all do it, you know? And that's exciting because I think that our communities really need to get their shit together with food security. Like,
it is,
like baffles me that if something happens, we experienced this year, we had the floods in 2022. You probably saw it on the news, and everyone would remember that, the Lismore floods. And we were one of many communities here that just got completely cut off. Like our roads were cut for so many days, and the food, you know, the stores are running out of food, and the only farms that had access into town was one small dairy farm and us. And we, you know, started harvesting our food and like sharing it with people, and the CWA and, you know, all that sort of stuff, making up food boxes. But I quickly realized that what I had thought was like, oh, if a disaster strikes, we'll have food for years. You know, we're so secure when you start sharing it with community, because you're not going to just sit there and eat your food while everyone else goes hungry, right? So you start sharing it and you're like, oh, we've only got actually a few days of food. And most people in their houses only really have a few days of food. And if a road gets cut or the shipping supplies get cut, like our country only has a few days of food. And that's wild when you think all it would take is spending half a day to put, 20 cassava sticks in the ground and a couple of fruit trees. And, like, it doesn't take that much to do some really simple actions to improve your food security. And it's just about everyone just sticking a bit of food in the ground. And we would just go so far with it.
It could make a big difference. Yeah. I know. Yeah. Like you said before, it's a fine line, because you don't want to make people feel bad for their food choices. But when I talked before about the valley of despair, it's like sometimes you have to look at the reality of what's going on. And I had major health issues because of the food I was eating. And that was my awakening to realize that it is a painful experience. And I know we're all doing our best for sure, but it's like, make the effort to go to the farmer's market. And not only that, find the people who are actually growing the food. Because if you go to Rusty's market here, which is a famous market, the majority, at least 80% of the store holders are actually buying local food that's gone to Brisbane and has been sent back up. They're not even selling direct from the farmers, which is really sad. And it's a lie, because people go there thinking that they're buying fresh local produce, and they're buying local produce that's traveled at least 4,000 kilometers. That's not necessarily fresh. So seek out the people who are doing the work, who are farming and then driving down to the markets and selling it, who have that relationship, have worked with the plants, who have harvested themselves, who have worked with it throughout the seasons. And there is the difference. You'll notice the difference.
And advocate for your farmers too, because I think a lot of people don't realize they go to the farmers markets, and like 80% of the stalls are people just who have never grown food, who are just selling stuff from the Brisbane markets. And what that means is that when a local farmer comes in to apply for a spot in the markets, and the markets comes back and says, well, what crops do you grow? What are you going to sell? And the farmer says, oh, I'm going to sell some broccoli and some bananas and some oranges. And the market says, well, we've already got 3 stalls that sell bananas and oranges. So sorry, we're going to decline your application for the market. And that's a huge problem here in this area, is that the local growers, the small local growers, can't even access the markets here unless they have like a super niche product that nobody else is selling. And so if you are a consumer and you go into the markets, talk to the stallholders that you're buying from first. Make sure that they're growing it. And if they're coming back to you and they're saying, no, like, we're just selling from the Brisbane markets, go find the market manager and have a chat with them about it, and, ask them about it. And the other thing that, as a grower, you have this perspective. You hear a lot of people saying, oh, the cost of food these days is so high. And I just think it's not high enough. You guys don't even know. You don't even know the height of it. Like, if I'm an organic grower and I'm doing everything right, and I go to the store to try and sell like a bunch of kale, I might, like, the best case scenario that I could receive for that kale would be like $2 a bunch. The more likely scenario is $1 a bunch or $1.50 a bunch, and nobody can survive on that as a livelihood. So I can't do that as a livelihood. I have to shut down my farm and go get a day job.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what a lot of farmers are facing. And then at the same time, you have consumers who are just unwilling to pay farmers a fair wage for their work, and they just don't realize what goes into putting that food on the shelves.
Yeah, all the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, so grow your own food, figure out the perennials. I wrote a great book about it. You can do courses with you as well down there. Hey, you run
Yes.
courses in it. Yeah. Because it really is that easy if we culturally change what we're eating. I've been banging this drum for years. I think I've just done the 6th edition of my Incredible Edibles book. And, my workshop this weekend will be about wet season. Like, we're preparing our gardens for the wet season that's coming. We're planting out food forests. Cassava is the main crop. We're putting the sweet potato in. And, we're lazy gardeners. It's like we grow annuals, but it's like for 3 or 4 months a year. And around May, we have like maybe 2 days where like, woo, like in the garden, prepping beds, sprinkling out seeds, doing our thing. But then that grows us annual food. Like, we've got tomatoes and carrots and kale and, all of these European kind of things that you can buy from the supermarket that we're growing organically. It only took us 2 days, with kids and lives and everything, to grow food for 3 or 4 months, sometimes 5. And then it's the wet season. And we changed our diet. And we're eating jackfruit and banana, like all the tropical fruits are on. And there's like, Aibika. We're already getting into it because you can see it. Everything's starting, with the spring coming in. They're all coming, like, their dormancy over winter. They're all kind of like, hey, look at me now. I'm ready to eat, propagate me. It's going to warm me up. And here's some extra branches that you can just snap off and chuck in the ground and grow a whole new me.
Yeah.
When people say I can't garden, it's like, you can.
Just haven't found the right plants yet.
Yeah. So, speaking of which, do you have a favorite plant that you can recommend that's kind of like one of your must-haves?
Well, I've got a lot because I just am obsessed with perennial vegetables, but I love Aibika. Aibika is one of my favorites, and it's what we are planting a lot of right now. It's the best. And I love Aibika because if anyone doesn't know what it is, it's a tree spinach, and it grows very similarly to a papaya tree. So it's really like tall and skinny, and it's got heaps of leaves at the top. And the leaves are so big, like they are bigger than a dinner plate. And what's really cool about them is you can eat the leaves raw, like lettuce, or you can eat them cooked. So pretty much every day for 6 months of the year, like in the warm months, I'm going out to the garden, I'm picking a leaf of Aibika, and I'm just ripping it up to put it in the salad, or I'm just ripping it up to put it in the stir fry or the curry or whatever it is. And Aibika is so good for us. It's so high in iron. It's got like crazy amounts of protein. But what's really special about Aibika, and what's special about quite a lot of my favorite foods, is it's mucilaginous. And mucilage, it's slime, basically, which doesn't sound very sexy. And in the West, we don't really eat slimy foods, but in other cultures, mucilaginous foods or slimy foods are really highly valued. And in some cultures, they call them strong foods, because mucilaginous foods, they're like vegan bone broth. They coat the gut lining, they heal cells, they pull toxins out of your body and like flush it through your poo. And they are just absolutely incredible. So yeah, we try and get as many mucilaginous foods into our diet as we can, and it's really, really healing for so many different things. Like medicinally, there's all these topical applications for Aibika. Women, it comes from Papua New Guinea, and women there really value it for childbirth and like milk supply. And yeah, it's just an incredibly nutritious food. So we put it in everything. And you just take a stick of it and plant it in the ground, and it grows so fast. Like it can grow to 3 meters within, 4 months in the wet season. And then you just cut it in half and cut up all the sticks into 20 centimeter pieces and stick them in the ground. We've never composted them or fertilized them or, watered them. Like we just plant them in the wet season when it's raining, and you just have them for years and years and years. And it's, when you think that people are going to the store and they're paying $7 for a bunch of kale, like nobody should be paying for greens. There's Aibika, there's Brazilian spinach, there's Okinawa spinach. It's like, it's crazy that people
yeah,
for greens, There's
tropical ginseng, yeah.
Yeah.
And they're buying it and it's in plastic.
Yeah. And it's like 15 days old,
Oh, yeah, Beaker's one of our favorites. We find though, like if because we have cyclones a lot up here, and so when the cyclones are coming, we've learnt this over the many years living up here now. It's like, okay, we got to chop it back. Like we're going to be eating heaps of Aibika. Yay. Like it's so good in soup, especially coconut soups and things like that. But if we leave it and the winds like blow it and snap it, it's like, no, let's harvest it all now. It's the same as the papaya. It's like, okay, some of them that are like really tall, let's just chop them now. And we've got like all this green papaya that we can like eat over, when everyone's freaking out about food, we're we got so much. But we have to prep our wild wet season garden to like shorten things to prevent, damage from winds and things like that.
Yeah, but you cut back your bananas and all that kind of thing as well.
Yeah, if we can get to them, but it's like the Aibika you can kind of eat.
Yes,
like we're just like getting all the food ready to to be eating in there. It's also really high in silica, so you can so you can like chop it up and use it, like put it in, ferment it with water like a weed tea, and use that to it's really medicinal for the garden as well.
Amazing.
Yeah, like comfrey.
Yeah, right. Well, here in the, we get very cold winters because we're in the subtropics. So, not very cold winters, but colder winters. Like we can get frosts and things like that. And the Aibika goes deciduous for half the year here. So we harvest, a lot of the leaves and we dry them and then keep them as a powder. And you sprinkle it over food, for the extra protein and the nutrients and minerals and stuff. And then, people freeze it and stuff as well. We've never done that because there's so many other perennial spinaches that are frost tolerant and grow through winter. So we just lean on those in wintertime. But I've got friends that fill their freezers with Aibika every summer, and then they've got all year. Yeah.
Oh, amazing. I love getting all of the little new shoots. Like the more that you harvest it, the more little green shoots that you get coming out the top. Yeah. And those are like such a good replacement for broccoli. Like you just chop those, like, because the leaves are awesome and you can use the leaves to like wrap things because they're so big as well. But all the new little shoots,
like the stems, like
the stems,
yeah.
Oh my
goodness, I never knew that.
Yeah, total replacement of broccoli in soups and things. Yeah. There's always so much to learn about them. Hey, it's like the more and the different types. Like we're kind of down to one now. But we've had different types throughout the years as well, like red stem ones and like the ones that look like 5 fingers.
Yeah. Isn't there like 70? I might not get the number right, but I think it's like 70 varieties in Papua New Guinea or something.
Yeah.
Like so many varieties. And what's cool that I've noticed is the different varieties will, sometimes a caterpillar will come through and it will only do that variety and leave the others. And other times, other ones go further into the cold season, or they, start leafing earlier. And so they respond differently. Something that I teach all my students is, diversity is everything. So like I'm trying to madly collect all these different varieties of all my perennials as well, because even just within one species, just the varieties, even just like the genetics of the same variety coming from different sources respond differently to the environment as well. So,
yeah, for sure. And even just that same one planted in different locations around the garden. Like, oh, look at this one in the shade. It's like the leaves are like supple and really big. And it's the same one I propagated that I've got out here in the sun that's now going, like it's getting little like the Brazilian spinach sometimes get little like the seeds
The flower
The
part?
flower, yeah, burr kind of looking flower.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
oh, I'm gonna harvest the ones from the shade today.
Yeah, they like the shade.
Yay. So everybody plant Aibika. And it's from the manihot family, like the hibiscus family. So
Yeah,
it
the
gets these,
hibiscus.
yeah, gets the pretty hibiscus flowers sometimes.
But really, I just think, all your perennial foods are so awesome. Like your perennial spinaches, there's so many different types that you can do. And then your starchy staples, like replacing your grain consumption with starchy staples like cassava, taro, yam, green banana. That's for us in the subtropics and tropics, you and I, those are our like backbone starchy staples. But if you're in the temperate areas, then there's other like starchy staples that you lean on there, kumara or nuts or different types of yam. In New Zealand, they grow a specific type. Wherever you are in the world, there is perennial foods that are traditionally eaten by traditional peoples there and by traditional peoples in the same bioregion as you. So even if it's not from the same country, if it's from the same climate, it will probably, have a good chance of working on your site. So like perennial greens, starchy staples, and then fruit trees. And that's like a really easy way to grow a lot of food. Yeah.
And it just manifests as a food forest when you pop it all together.
It's the food forest when you pop it together. It's like the food forest is the byproduct of just eating.
Yeah. Of putting that diversity in together. The garden starts growing itself once you choose a healthy diet.
Yeah.
And so are you doing syntropics or what's your method?
Well, we do a bit of syntropics. I wouldn't say that we do like full syntropics because it's syntropics is kind of like a whole world. And in that world, some people can get really like, this is the way, this is the steps and techniques. And we definitely don't kind of dogmatically follow any steps or techniques. So we've just taken what makes sense to us from syntropics and applied it. Same with, heaps of other aspects of permaculture techniques. But yeah, we use a lot of the syntropic techniques. Like we grow our acre food forest. We don't have very much access into it. It's in the middle of the forest. We don't bring in like fertilizers and stuff. We don't do any composting. We try to, irrigate minimally. So if we do like a big planting and it's the dry season, we'll water things for like a week and then we'll just leave them to themselves. And if they grow, they grow. So the primary way that we increase fertility in our site is using succession, by growing, fast-growing pioneers that nature has designed specifically to open up degraded land, to open up, damaged land and to start building soil. And then we use the power of pulse. So that's when we cut a plant, it has this growth response in the soil where it sends out chemical signals into the soil for all the surrounding plants and seeds to grow, to heal that cut and that damage in the land. Because the earth, they say like our mother likes to wear a green dress. She always likes to be covered. So she has some really incredible natural responses to damage and to disturbance. So whether that's like a fire coming through or a cyclone coming through or a herd of animals or a tractor, anytime that she's disturbed and the forest is damaged, she just grows like crazy to heal herself and heal that wound. And so we kind of use that energy, that growth energy that she just naturally has, to grow our food plants with. So with our food plants, we just plant whatever grows really well, and then we cut it back heaps, and we really focus on plants that regrow after being cut back so that we can just keep chopping and dropping them. And that's our primary fertility building. And it's kind of incredible, like our soil, it's a 5-year-old food forest and we started on a degraded cow paddock and we haven't added anything fancy. We haven't done, there's some really incredible techniques out there that people are using, like Korean natural farming and effective microorganisms and all that sort of stuff. And I'm super into that. And I think it's really cool and I support it, but we just haven't had the time to do it realistically. So we haven't. And our soil is like the most chocolatey, loamy, like you can stick your whole arm in. It's just soft as just worms and centipedes and bugs, and it just is incredible. And it used to be this hard pan clay that like cracked and didn't let anything in, and then got too wet, and and now it's just incredible. And it's just plants. Like it is just plants in the ground, living, dying,
Chopping and dropping.
Roots opening up ground.
Yeah.
A lot of people, I think, don't realize that, we learn photosynthesis as kids, right? The leaf eats sunlight, combines with carbon dioxide, creates food for plants. That's how plants grow. I think that most people don't realize that most of the sugar that a plant produces through photosynthesis, it actually feeds into the soil. And so that sugar is chains of carbon. And so those chains of carbon are being fed into the soil and stored in the soil. So we're taking carbon from the atmosphere and putting it into the soil. With every single leaf that is on the earth is doing that right now. As you're listening right now, every leaf is storing carbon in the soil. And that sugar feeds the soil microbes, and they're responsible for unlocking nutrients, mining nutrients out of rocks and making it bioavailable for plants. They're responsible for transporting nutrients and water into spaces, for creating soil structure, for opening up air in soil. So just the simple act of leaves and roots existing is building soil.
And then therefore soil water retention, which means you're not irrigating all of the time or having runoff because of that, and improves soil.
Well, and we've always got organic matter on the ground.
Yeah.
From the chopping and dropping, there's always a thick layer of organic matter on the ground. We just follow the forest, right? So you walk into the forest, go for a bushwalk. There's always a thick layer of leaves and organic matter on the ground, leaves, branches, sticks, whatever. Our farms should have the same thing. They should be following the forest. And so we always have a thick layer of organic matter on the soil. If it's exposed, then the microbes are dying and the soil is drying out. So we always cover the soil. And then we'd always have a canopy above. Even, at 6 weeks after planting a food forest, you've got your radishes and your fast growing things creating a canopy 20 centimeters above the ground. And that is keeping water in the soil. So yeah, moisture retention, forests provide everything for themselves. Like it's genius, we're so silly as humans to think that we can do it better than nature can. Like she is just the ultimate genius,
It's self-replicating, and then we come along and we chop it down and we plant a monoculture of one thing.
It's like the whole world is
anywhere.
covered in plants that are growing perfectly well, and we come along and just complicate things and go, let's do it this way. Let's just work really, really hard to grow plants that are already growing out there in nature. Yeah. It's just crazy. So the forest, once the forest engine is running, it provides all of its own needs. So we don't need to do anything except just be a part of it and chop some things occasionally and harvest food.
Yeah. Eat well. Have big fancy dinner parties.
Yeah, that's right. We have parties all the time. We have feasts, we do cooking classes, and we feed massive groups of people out of our food forest, and it doesn't make a dent in the food that's there. Like, we give it away. There's just so much. Like, you don't even know what to do with it all.
Yeah. It's amazing. The wet season, you're like chopping it out of the pathway.
Yeah.
You're like, when I first started, I was so precious about this.
Totally. People, it's funny when we do tours, people come to our food forest and they'll see me pull up a taro and throw it to the side, and someone always runs to go and grab it. And I'm like, fair enough. Taro is awesome, but there's so much here, you can't possibly wait. Nothing's being wasted. It's all just going back to the soil.
Yeah, beautiful. Oh, I really want to come and visit your garden now. It sounds delicious.
It's the best place to be. It's so good. Yeah.
Sorry, is there an example in your path, your life so far, where you've leaned on a specific plant to improve your health?
I think I wouldn't say like a specific plant, because I think having a healthy, varied diet of all these sort of foods that are actually closer to what our bodies are naturally meant to be consuming, I think has helped me on my health journey a lot. And I have had a health journey for sure. When I was a teenager and I was in that phase of being rebellious, and that, what was it you called it before, the
valley of despair.
The valley of despair. When I was deep in the valley of despair, I had very unhealthy habits. I thought that like eating mee goreng every night was like how you cooked food, and microwave popcorn. I was like 16, had no idea. I smoked cigarettes, I drank alcohol, I drank what is it, like Red Bulls? I was drinking
yeah.
I'm doing it all. And I got interstitial cystitis, which is, if you don't know what it is, it's basically like having a UTI all the time. So it's not caused by any like bacteria or anything, and doctors say they don't know what causes it, but my personal theory is that acidic diets cause it. And basically you're in a lot of pain all the time. You feel like you need to pee all the time. And when you do pee, it feels like you're peeing razor blades. So I was pretty miserable and I was in a lot of pain. And doctors said that there's no known cure for it. You're just going to have it for life. Like, here's a bunch of stuff that you can take to manage your symptoms, but it won't go away. And so I was a bit desperate, Googling, reading all the forums, like, up till 2 a.m., reading everything. And a lot of people were healing or having good results healing it with an alkaline diet. And this is around the same time that I discovered permaculture, and I signed up for a permaculture course at my local community college. And I'm so grateful for them. They were running a free course for youth under 25. And so went to do this free course, and it just changed my life. I met the most amazing people, and it was run in a community garden, and the community garden was full of nasturtium and stinging nettle and comfrey and all those beautiful things that just grow so well. And I started down this path of doing the alkaline diet, and I would just go and pick like bowls full of comfrey and nettle and just steam them and eat bowls of like steamed nettle with lemon juice. That was my diet for like a year.
Yeah. Dedication.
Yeah.
But your body is like, yes.
It was amazing. And it was such a life changer. And I don't have IC anymore. I don't have interstitial cystitis anymore. And yeah, within a year, all my symptoms were gone and they've never come back, and I can eat a normal healthy diet. I wouldn't ever drink a Red Bull again, but I can eat a normal healthy diet again. And I think that eating food from the land, eating the starches, eating all the greens, that has kept my health in check. So I'm really grateful for that experience. Actually, I'm really grateful for that illness. And it was the hugest teacher for me. Yeah. And I don't know, they say, like, there's a saying that when you're in pain enough, you change.
Yeah.
And I'm really glad that changed me. Yeah.
These initiations we go through, health can be a really big opportunity for growth and setting us on the right path. Hey,
absolutely. Every time I come like face to face with a health challenge now, I'm like, okay, like here's the next lesson. Like, what are we gonna download from this?
Yeah. So that's a great, like, when I ask this question, people are always like, oh, there's not been really any specific plant or time, but when you go through the story, it's like, a year of like eating steamed nettle and comfrey, which if you Googled that, they would say, don't eat comfrey.
Yeah, that's right.
Meanwhile, like, we fritter it with like chickpea flour and make super yummy. Like, you don't eat it all the time, and that's like everything. It's like that balanced diet of spreading it out, but that's that is herbalism, that is medicine. But I think when we don't have that, like we haven't done the training, I'm not a herbalist either. And I've come to it from like growing food and the plants, but those are really powerful herbs, and they make their way into our lives. And you just naturally, I feel like once you step into a permaculture lifestyle, those plants are just automatically become part of your life without over analyzing the herbal medicine aspects of it.
Well, and I think that's one of the biggest gifts of kind of that connection to country that I talked about earlier. And, you know, when your body is a part of the land, which it always is, no matter what, like it always is. But you do start to tune in. Well, what I've noticed for myself, I can only speak for myself, is that I feel like I can tune in more with what plants are kind of telling me. And the plants, like I don't need to Google what herb is right for whatever I'm going through, because I notice it always is just glaringly putting itself in my path anyway. Like it has just started sprouting in my garden and I've never seen this thing before, or, you know, it's in such abundance, or I constantly see it at the garden center, you know, or like whatever it is. I think the herbs find you, or that's been my experience.
Yeah. And that's the difference of, I think that's one of the really intrinsic, powerful aspects of having your own garden, is that relationship starts happening, as opposed to even buying fresh produce locally from the farmer's market from somebody else, which is also amazing. But if you have the opportunity to be growing your own garden, you get that information feedback from your garden and from the plants that just can't be experienced in any other way.
You've so hit the nail on the head there. And that's the most important yield that we are receiving from gardening. And I try to like really tell my students that, you know, it doesn't matter whether you fail at your first garden, or, you know, whether what this crop grows or doesn't grow. The most important thing is that you just start, you go out there and you just have your hands in the soil, you're out there all the time, and you just start that relationship. And then once that relationship, you're talking to each other, you and the land are talking to each other, it will just naturally lead you and guide you, and, you know, let nature be your teacher. But you have to start that relationship first. So just take the first steps, you know? Yeah.
Love that. That's really beautiful wisdom for people to walk away with. Because it can be overwhelming when you first come somewhere and you see this really inspiring demonstration garden.
Yeah.
That was what I like soaked all that up. I loved that when I first started my path. I just wanted to see everybody's gardens. But it's also like, whoa, I've got like this tiny space at home, or like I've failed in the past. And then it's like, how do I go from this to what that person has and what they've created? But like you said, it's just, you just have to start, and it's like then nature is guiding you, and you have this like other energy supporting you once you make that decision, and you just start playing and trying.
That's right. It doesn't, like, it's not about, when you first start, it's not about getting it right. It's just about giving it a go. Like when my first garden that I started was 1 meter square, and it was in this like clay, like compacted bit of earth in this outside this apartment block in the suburbs. And I just put carrot seeds straight in. I didn't know any better. I just put carrot seeds straight in, watered it, got these carrots that were like 2 centimeters long. And I was so stoked. These 2 centimeter long carrots.
Little stumpy carrots.
Like, I can grow food. Look at me go.
Oh, yay.
And, you know, that was the relationship, like starting, you know, and that was a really important experience for me. And at the time, that was life-changing.
And do you grow carrots now?
Carrots are actually one. So I do, I harp on about perennial vegetables, and like sometimes people think I poo-poo annuals, and I do a bit poo-poo annuals, but but we actually grow annuals as well. There's quite a lot of annuals that are very easy to grow, and we just like them. They're like a special treat for us,
Special treat.
Not
the one you rely on all the time.
Yeah, it's not going to be our staple crop, but it's a really nice like addition. And carrots are something that maybe from that first experience of those 2-centimeter carrots, carrots are one of my favorite annuals to grow, actually. Yeah, there's nothing quite like pulling your own carrots out of the ground. Yeah.
And the kids love them. It's like, you got to try.
Yeah.
That's what they want to buy from the shop, crunchy carrots. Yay. Well, is there anything else that's alive and thriving in your life right now?
Well, at the moment, I am just on a bit of a mission to share with people how simple growing food can be, and just really make it easy for people. So I am running courses. I've been teaching workshops here on our land for quite a while, and running food forest courses as well. And I'm just about to launch my first online food forest course, which is really exciting. So there will be a free food forest fundamentals course that I'll be launching in January, which will be 5 days of me sharing with you all the like fundamental introduction stuff about how food forests work, and how you can get started and on the path. And so I'm really excited to offer that to everyone. So if anyone is interested in learning more about food forests, they can go to our website, which will be in the show notes, and the sign up link is there, so you can reserve your spot.
Amazing. So they can reserve their spot now for January. That's
awesome.
That's
right. Yeah.
Yay. Well, I'd love to join you. It's always so nice. Yay. It's like, I feel like over the years, it's like I just keep attending courses and just learning. There's just so much wealth of knowledge between peers and within, teachers sharing with one another. And
I'm always going to people's courses. I think it's just the connection, it's just the best. And I actually think that you learn so much from the other people that come to the courses as well, just the conversations that happen in those spaces. Like, there's something really special, this magical container around gardening where just magic happens in the connections that form. Yeah,
for sure. Just like us, we're like the people ecosystem, sharing all the knowledge like the plants are doing in their way as well.
Absolutely.
Oh, well, I will certainly put all of that in your show notes as well, and your Instagram link as well, because you put really cool content on that as well. And I think my Instagram's just full of gardening stuff. plants. I always get a big smile when I see what you're doing there. And
thanks.
Yay. Cool. Anything you wanted to share before we say goodbye today?
No, I don't think so. I think I don't even know what we've covered, but I feel like
all the beautiful stuff.
I'm on a journey.
Yay. All right. Well, awesome. Thank you so much. I've really appreciated all the wisdom you've shared and getting to know you a bit more. Definitely look forward to catching up in January. And if you ever come up north, come and check out our food forest. And if I get down Nimbin Way, did you study at Mullumbimby at that community garden?
At the Mullumbimby Community Garden. That was the first community garden. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, that place is beautiful.
So beautiful.
Whenever I travel or go to new places, I always beeline to find their community garden or the botanical gardens. But community gardens tell a lot about a community, I think.
Actually, when my first daughter was 1, we bought a van and we traveled around Australia, but we did it without using a supermarket. We went on this challenge. And we did exactly that. We beelined for all of the community gardens, and we foraged all of the dandelions and the purslane and everything. And we beelined for the farmers markets and the farms. And the coast and the seafood and stuff like that. And yeah, you could really tell a lot about a town by its community garden. The towns that had amazing community gardens just had amazing communities around them, and the people were different in those towns.
Yeah. And if you don't have, I guess, it is a privilege these days to have the opportunity to be caring for and stewarding land. Not everybody has, some people might have balconies, or you can grow a little bit there, but community gardens are amazing outlets for people to find like-minded folk, but to get your hands in the dirt and start growing and sharing and propagating and,
and if you don't have space for your own garden, or you're interested in food forests or perennials and you just don't have the ability to grow it where you are, maybe you're renting or something, connect in with the nearest permaculture property that or the nearest farm that or someone who's gardening that inspires you, and most likely they would love to hang out and chat whilst working in the garden, and they'd love to share produce with you. And we've got so many people that come here and just hang out while we garden together, and we all take home baskets of produce at the end. And it's just a great way to learn the skills before you have your own property, or before you have that access to land. So don't let it stop you just because you don't have the space where you're living.
Yeah, beautiful. Well, that's a great note to end on.
The Elder Tree is a not-for-profit organisation that is in the beginning stages of creating a grassroots herbal education centre and healing sanctuary in the Atherton Tablelands of Far North Queensland. To find out more, go to theeldertree.org and follow the journey on Instagram and Facebook. You can also donate to the Elder Tree via our podcast channel on Anchor or via the website. If you like the episode, we'd love you to subscribe. And if you know who we should interview next, drop us a line. See you next month, and in the meantime, may you grow them to know them and be blessed with good health and many plants.